Good morning, it's Mike McCauley. This is Market Insights with Mike. It is May the 28th. May is almost behind us now, 5 months into the year 2021. And we've going to see some things that are good news today, some things that we're concerned about. But let's go ahead and get right into it because we have a lot to cover. The first chart here, what I wanted to talk about a little bit was the holiday we have coming up, and it's Memorial Day. Initially, some of us that are older I remember my grandparents calling it Decoration Day. My dad's parents were real big on that. We had a lot of veterans that were involved, and so it's pretty cool. But called Decoration Day. And my grandmother, who had arthritis so bad she needed help walking, would always make that trip to the cemetery to put out flowers. It was just something that was very important to her. So Congress wanted a day late in May because the argument was that's when all the flowers in all the parts of the country are available, and that's what Decoration Day was for. So it was officially declared Memorial Day by federal law in 1967. Back in 1868, the Decoration Day was proposed to be May 30th to allow graves of veterans to be decorated with fresh flowers. They moved it the last Monday in May when they passed the Uniform Monday Holiday Act in 1968. And that's when, as you know, all the holidays that we have occur on Monday, and that was done mostly for political reasons and government reasons, and created a lot of 3-day weekends. Memorial Day became an official federal holiday in 1971. Some of us that are older, we remember when it wasn't. And then you have the National Moment of Remembrance Act adopted in December of 2000. That is not very well known. That what it does is encourage citizens on Memorial Day at 3 o'clock local time to take a moment and pause to remember those who have died for our freedom. And that's really interesting when I was doing the research. And I have to admit, I'd never heard of that, but that was adopted in December of 2000. And it's part of who we are, stop to honor those that have died for us. If you've never made a trip to a national cemetery on Memorial Day, I encourage you to do it. It's incredibly sobering, and it will bring out a lot of pride when you see that happen. So pretty cool Memorial Day. Enjoy yourself, stay safe, and remember those that have taken care of us. So Mara, let's go on to the next one, and we have U.S. housing starts. Now here's the part about housing starts. You know me, I've been waiting for April to come along and for that number to kind of pop up. A bit of a disappointment, not a huge surprise, because in March we had such a big pop. I guess the thing I'm more discouraged with is that because it didn't go up higher than March, some people are a little bit discouraged, but it isn't anything to worry about. If you look at this chart, we go back to 2016, and you can see that housing starts continue to advance. And recall a couple of weeks ago, I commented that we still have a need or demand for 3 million homes. And this chart is showing, so we're building about 1.5 million per year. That dotted line to refresh, that's the bottom line that I would want to see it. You really want to see it drop below that dotted line, but we're comfortably above that. We have a demand that's strong. Our biggest headaches right now are, honestly, is the price of lumber, which is interfering with some financing. That's part of it. The other part is that some of the banks and Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they're starting to tighten up some of their lending rules a little bit. We're not going to repeat 2008, but they are tightening some of those things. So it's slowing down a little bit. We'll just have to see if we can keep that trend going upwards. If you look at that orange line, that's the moving average, and it's pretty nice. So we'll see where we go from here. Again, it was a disappointment. It wasn't as high as March, but we still have a pretty good solid half year being created here. So next we want to talk about the unemployment claims. Huge decline this week, dropped down to 406,000. That is the lowest since COVID hit back in March. We've never seen, if you look back, we've never seen it that low for the week. Great number. We're halfway. We have twice as many I'd like to see. I'd like to see 200, 250,000, somewhere in there. And then you can see that unemployment average continues to get whittled away and whittled down. What's going to happen? Well, most of the schools, and if they haven't ended by now, they certainly end this week. And then you've got a lot of the airlines, a lot of the hotels, a lot of restaurants reopening, looking for people, looking to hire people. Airlines have announced they're looking for thousands of pilots. There are a lot of airplanes being taken out of storage, long-term storage, and moved back onto the line. And then you have a lot of hotels that are now opening rooms and closed out floors before. So there's a lot of potential here going on, and a lot of opportunity for jobs. So my hope is that as we see the summer move along, especially the early part in June, we'll see that 406,000 whittle away even more. But look back where we were 3 weeks ago, 553,000 on April 30th, and here we are at 406,000. That's just a really solid, nice decline to see, and that's good news. So next, we have the Dow Jones Industrial Average. There's been concerns the last couple of weeks. We had a couple of bad days. And if you look over on the far right-hand side, you can see that the moving average, the today number, and the 14-day average, they're kind of flattening out, but they're not turning south. They're not going down. We still, if you look back to the big yin on the far left, that's 12 months ago. So we still are moving in a very positive direction. We had a couple of bad days, but I can tell you that if I look at week on week and how each week is performing, each week is still positive. And I think that right now, if we stay positive today, Friday, we'll see the movement this week will be up about 158 points. So it's not bad news. We had a couple of down days. Some of it was reactionary. Some of it was inflation talk. And some of it was just comments from different regional presidents for the Fed. But I don't think it's anything to be alarmed about. So this is Volatility Index. This reinforces my comment a second ago. I don't think the movement that is too much to be alarmed about, because as I've explained before, this Volatility Index, this really is you. And I've identified it before. It looks like a heartbeat. It still does. But look where it's drifting down. And where do I want it? I want it to be at 10. Where am I right now? We're at about 16. So we had a little bit of a kick up in early May, and we're still going down. And that's a great consistent move from where we were last March when the economy was struggling so much. So the Volatility Index is supporting that. People are more calm with what's going on. We have a lot of money going in, a lot of stimulus going in, and people kind of feel like they're being helped. The only problem we have is that the $300 monthly check that's being issued by states is putting people just over what they can earn if they go out and get a minimum wage job. That's being retracted for some of the states. We'll see how if that has an effect. This year, Treasury yields, we're getting close to the end of the month when we set and go on to the next month, and you can still see right now our Treasuries last night closed at 1.6079 for the 10-year, or for the 2-year, we're at 0.15. And again, you've heard before, we want that spread to be about like it is. If it goes up, that's wonderful. We're starting to see a little bit of waffling from the Fed on if they'll get involved or not. I still see more support for not changing the rates until we're at least solidly into 2022, which is 7 or 8 months from now. So this is not an alarm. You can see that little kind of a flat piece going on, sitting at 1.6. That's okay. So we're good there. And then next, this is the sectors, and Mallory gave us some great cover look at it. It's a little easier to see. You can see last week where everybody stood, and then on the far left is where we stand this week. And the one that's really interesting is utilities. We're down at 0.1%. Sometimes those get confused with what's at the top with oil, gas, and energy. And we talked before, that's not unexpected at all because oil and gas was so devastated last March. And then in order, you've got financials, basic materials. And then it kind of looks like the top four are kind of swapping spaces a little bit. It's like watching a car race, and then the bottom 6 are kind of doing the same thing. Telecom is down to 2.9. And then if you look at information technology, which is last week was 9th, and now it's number 8. And recall that we've talked before, Mark and I really feel that technologies kind of might have seen its biggest years the last 8, and we don't see a lot of improvement. Having said that, we wanted to upgrade, my 16-year-old son wanted to upgrade our computer, and he told me what we needed, and we went to looking for it. And we had a very difficult time finding the chip that he wanted. It wasn't expensive at all, but it was pretty hard to find what he wanted. And we ended up finding it. We found one things he wanted online, the other one we went to a small store in Overland Park. But the one thing we noticed there was when we went down the aisle for the memory chips and all the other things that you buy when you're building a computer, there was a whole lot of empty spaces. And that tells me that that technology area, they're just not able to produce right now what they need to produce. And it does cause us to wonder what's going to happen if they do get back on track and if they can get things going where they'll go. But right now, for information technology to be at that number is, it's disappointing for most. And I just don't think we'll see another year like we've seen the last 8 for that sector. We have the world markets, and you can see there in the UK last week, 0 is basically flat. And down at the bottom, you see the US indices. All of them are pretty solid with the exception of NASDAQ. And we know NASDAQ is very high information technology. Dow Jones Industrial Average is 12.6 for the right now for the year, and 11.8 for the S&P 500. The reason those are good numbers is take those divided by 5, because you've got 5 months going on here, multiply it times 12, and we're still looking at some very solid returns, provided nothing happens this year that kind of turns us upside down. Japan's very flat with a 4.0 right now. And the UK, here's what concerns me about the UK. I'm still not sure that they have solidly come out of the recession yet, especially when I look at the numbers this week and what they did. And so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Australia is going to be a little bit of a problem because they still have themselves isolated. So that's kind of an issue there, and we'll see where they go once probably July 1st hits, if they start relaxing some of the rules. They are starting to move some of their airplanes out of storage, but they still have not opened their borders very well. So we'll see how that goes. But for us, our 3 US indices, we're doing pretty well. This is our calendar coming up. This is May. Memorial Day is Monday. On Wednesday, we get the beige book, and then on June 4th, we have non-farm payrolls. That's also our last broadcast for Market Insights with Mike. That's at 8 o'clock next Friday. And then on June 20th is Father's Day. So Mallory and I will be taking a break starting after next Friday's broadcast, and we'll be back August the 13th. We're going to be changing some things up and hopefully make it a little bit more exciting, give you a little bit more information about the same amount of time. I want everybody to have a good summer, but remember, we're still here. We're available for questions. Give us a call, 913-259-2110. We've been doing this for about 14, 15 months now, and a special thank you to Mallory, who's always there behind the scenes and making sure it happens. She's a great editor. She's a great producer. I make more mistakes than I'll admit, and she catches them all. So it's pretty awesome, and it's great to work with her. So both of us look forward to seeing you back here 1 week from today. And have a great summer, and we'll be back August the 13th. Thanks for joining us this Friday. Have a great, safe, and wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Take care.